It feels like everyone is talking about real estate in the Vancouver region right now. Traditionally, January is a pretty slow month when it comes to home sales. It makes a lot of sense. Everyone's recovering from the holidays, everyone's getting back to their normal routine. The weather may be lousy, so it might not be the optimal time to be out house hunting. It may not be the optimal time to be showcasing your home for sale. However, January 2021 behaved quite differently than what we're used to seeing. And it really speaks to the trend we've been seeing over the last several months in terms of high demand and low supply, and some other things that are changing in terms of buyer activity in our region. First things first, it was a record-breaking month in general. Last month, home sales in the Greater Vancouver region were up 36% from the 10-year average. When you start looking at the Fraser Valley, they actually had a record-setting month in terms of number of sales. It was the top-selling January in their recorded history. We saw some pent-up demand, certainly, that was in play prior to the pandemic. Once the pandemic hit, and after the market and people figured out what the pandemic meant for them, things really started picking up. And we're also seeing, obviously, an eastward migration, or at least a migration to neighborhoods and areas where people are finding more space, more value for their dollar, where they see work from home as an option, potentially now and into the longer term. Year over year, we're seeing quite big differences when it comes to the number of home sales. For example, in the Greater Vancouver region, detached home sales are up 69% year over year for the month of January. That's a lot. We're not used to seeing that kind of a jump. Home sales for attached, like townhome style homes and apartments, are also up. Townhomes up 43% and condominiums actually up 47%. Again, this is in terms of the number of sales. Home prices are generally up as well. The benchmark home price for a detached home in the Greater Vancouver region is almost $1.6 million. Now, this is an 11% increase year over year from January 2020. This is definitely where we're seeing the most increase in value in terms of housing segment in our region. It's important to put things into context. There was a period of time there when demand for detached homes was a bit slower. Year over year, it makes sense, especially now as people are looking for more space, that this is where we're seeing upward pressure on values. Month over month, we've also seen a pretty decent increase in price. So for benchmark prices for detached homes from December, we're up 1.4% across the region. Prices are still up generally in most regions, although we'll talk a little bit about where you might be able to find a little bit of better value right now. First, let's explore townhomes. The benchmark price for townhomes in our region is about $815,000. This is about a 4.3% increase year over year, with slight increase month over month. And the benchmark price for condos in our region is $680,000, and that's up 2.2% from last year. So you can really see the difference here and how people are moving around. Now, it's really important to remember that when we're talking about real estate, we have to think there's two sides to the story. Not only demand, but also supply. And supply has just been low for a while. When looking at January 2021, supply was actually down from January 2020 and from December 2020. We're starting to hear about prospective home sellers, would-be buyers, being either really nervous about selling and putting their property on the market because they don't know where they're gonna be yet and they don't wanna end up without a home to stay in. So some people are starting to look now more at buying first before they list their property, and that's, contributing to the housing shortage that we have. Although I totally understand, and it makes a lot of sense for most people. One of the other important statistics to keep in mind is the sales to listing ratio. This ratio helps outline whether or not we're in a seller's market or a buyer's market or a balanced market. And it really has to do with the number of home sales per month related to the supply. Experts say that once home sale activity is at 12% or less for a given period of time, that's when we start seeing a buyer's market and perhaps downward pressure on price. They also say that in any given market segment over a sustained period of time, if home sales are exceeding 20% of the supply, we're going to start seeing upward pressure on prices and, of course, more of a seller's market. Generally speaking, for most neighborhoods and most housing segments, we are definitely in seller's market territory. In January, we certainly saw a lot of activity in listings. Lots of back-to-back showings. It's tougher now because we're not having open houses, so private appointments that have to be very rigidly scheduled, and a lot of set offer dates and multiple offer situations. Now, all of this being said, it's so important to have your real estate advisor help you review what's going on in the marketplace that you're interested in. And that means neighborhood and housing type. For example, are there any areas for deals out there? We could all debate what a deal means to each one of us, but it's important to note certain areas like downtown Vancouver, the home sales are not like what we're seeing in some of the other areas of our region. For example, if you look at condo prices in downtown West and in Yaletown, prices are actually down year over year, 2.3% and 7.7% respectively. And even in some of our most expensive detached home markets, we're seeing increases. For example, in Kitsilano, benchmark home prices are up 12% in terms of detached properties. That being said, you can go look at Point Grey for a detached home, and while there's been the most activity in terms of number of home sales in that market, benchmark values are actually down nominally by 0.1% year over year. It's an interesting real estate market right now, and I know as a home buyer, it can be really frustrating. So it's really important to know the market. It's really important to get advice and get someone helping you early on to understand what to expect and how to be best prepared, and also how to set your expectations. And as a home seller, while you can probably assume that in most markets you can sell your home, the question is, how do you optimize the process for you? It's always about finding someone that can guide you and help you through that process. Good luck, everybody. I know this is a crazy time. I know that most of us in the profession were not anticipating this type of activity amongst a pandemic. However, it's become so clear that what's central here is what home means to people, and also that people have seen an evolution in terms of how they can operate their lives day to day, which is impacting their home buying and selling decisions. I didn't introduce myself at the beginning. My name is Ashley Smith, and I'm a realtor with Oakwyn Realty. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching.